Hey everyone, I'm trying to get this background music. I want to try to get some background music going here, get the little ambience. I don't know if you guys can. All right, I think that's a little bit louder. All right, try to get a little ambience going here. How is everyone? Hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is doing well and all that. Thank you so much for checking out the show. If you are coming on later on to watch the not live version, the recorded version, welcome. Thank you. Make sure you hit the like button. Whether you're watching live or whether you're watching later on. And that's it. So we're going to get into it. So we're a few minutes in. I try to give people a little bit of time to come on in. So we're going to talk today about mommying. What the heck is mommying? Make sure you all say hello so I can acknowledge you. So mommying is this phenomenon. It's a term that I heard from the so-called manosphere, red pill content, whatever. It's a term that is indicative of when ladies sort of tell grown men what to do. And in this particular case, what we're going to talk about is who to vote for, who not to vote for, where to be, where to go, that type of thing. Now, I think that every married man or anybody who's been in a long-lasting relationship has been mommied to some extent. Change your clothes, or pick this up, or do that, or do whatever. But the way we're going to look at it from today's lens is completely negative. You're telling grown men who to vote for, who not to vote for, and usually it's done by women. Now, if you looked at the thumbnail that I provided, you know that there's a picture of former President Barack Obama. And in this particular context, how do I want to say this? So I'm going to play some videos here. We're going to talk about the whole phenomenon of mommying and all this type of stuff. And this is relevant to the type of conversations that we have, because there's so much, division that we see already between men and women, in particular Black men and women, but this is a phenomenon that's going all over. And I don't think that this phenomenon of mommying, telling grown men what to do, and in this particular case, who to vote for, is a positive thing. And for former President Barack Obama, who is a male, getting in on the action about talking condescendingly, talking down to, talking at grown Black men, is a good thing. So I'm gonna start off with the phenomenon in the past. We're gonna go through some other cases, and then we're gonna finish off with former President Barack Obama. I know that people have probably seen this already. It's been going viral, been talked about all over. I popped on YouTube, and I got to give a shout out to a guy who I follow, BGS Ibmore, and another one, Dennis Sperling. They talked about this. I didn't watch Dennis Sperling's live, but I know that he's talked about it, and it's offensive. It's offensive when anybody does it, but in particular when they get, former president, and the accusations, as we'll see. If you didn't watch it, we'll watch it here. But if you didn't see the accusations, that's pretty upsetting. So let me know if anybody's heard the term mommying before. We know that there's a certain level of nagging that goes on, which is all love, but this is too much. My girl Les, thank you so much. You popped in first, and so when I put these up, if you guys would hit the waiting button, that would be great, because that shows that there's an interest in all that. So just something to think about. Good evening, Blue Sapphire. Yes, New York Chocolate. Hello, thank you so much. Miles, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Y Square. Good evening from Y Square. Hello. Let's see. Darla Love, happy Sunday to everyone. Yep. Chris Casey. Chris, man, you're gonna get invited to the cookout. If you don't know what that means, you will after a while, because you're on all these shows. Okay, y'all all better. You all better narrative. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna tell you what to do, where to go, how to get there, and you're going to do it, right? So we're going to walk through this, right? I got a few videos to show, and I'm sure that there's many other videos that I could play, but these are the ones that were fresh in my mind that I played before, and so we're going to put them in a contextual narrative, and that's going to lead up to why this was so offensive, in my opinion, by the former president. Deborah Hutchinson, hello. Steph Bell, hello. Okay, 26 people watching. The other people are here watching. So I don't know if y'all hate watching or not, but just say hello so we can acknowledge you and all that. So first video up is Ebony K. Williams. Anybody who doesn't know what Ebony K. Williams is, hello, tree hugger. Yes, ready to learn. Yes. So Ebony K. Williams was a host on Fox News. She is an attorney. She was and now she has been given a number of speeches, number of interviews. I played them in particular. I played a lot on my other channel, Captain Hunter's podcast. So we're going to talk about, and she's going to break down this video that I have of her was on X. It's hard to find now, but I clipped it and I have it. So she's going to talk about, and we're talking about, I'm not going to get too political, but we're going to talk about the voting patterns. And what she's saying is that black men and black women don't see eye to eye on these types of things anymore. And I want to open up with this because this is where it is, and this is where we're at, and this is problematic. Hello, woman to woman. Hello, Stephanie Rogers. Never know heard the term. It just kills me how everything is so offensive nowadays. I think it's a good point, Chocolate. I think it's the way that it's done, and you'll see how it's done. I think that the clips that I would show is that, and these are clips on news. This isn't some random person on the internet. These are news features that are going on, and they're telling black men what to do and all this kind of stuff. So first one up is Ebony K. Williams admitting that black men and black women don't see eye to eye.
About him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. Okay. I'm not talking about that. Okay. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society.
Men and women, black men and black. So this is a clip of, I clipped this from my other channel. So now you hear me talking. It's saying the men and women don't see differently, and this is Ebony K. Williams as she's on the Touré show. Women have different political interests.
Now, per the New York Times, black men today are currently leaning 20% toward President Trump. That's 20% of the black electorate. That is 20% of the famed Obama coalition, the very one that President Joe Biden and the Democrat Party cannot afford to lose. Now, I'm not about to chastise black men. I'm not about to tell them to go along to get along. And I'm certainly not about to tell black men in America to fall in line and vote like black women. Because, yes, and now I have to say the quiet part out loud, black men and black women, we don't always have the same political interests. Now, listen, I wish that we did. I really do. But the reality is that we live in an American society that has always ranked financial, political, and social capital as the following: white men, black men, white women. Now, those two can be debatable or interchanged. We'll get to that in a second. But always and consistently forever last is black women. So now black men are seeing black women outperform them in spaces that make no sense to them. Academically, they see us graduating from higher ed. They see black women owning businesses, opening them, starting them, achieving in them at a higher rate than black men. They see black women buying homes and purchasing commercial real estate at higher rates than them. And no, black men are not happy about it. It's not that they're not happy for us. They also understandably wish it were them. And they're wondering, legitimately, I would say, why they are getting left behind. And so they're saying very loudly with this polling, they're saying to the Democratic Party, at least 20% of them are, that they're not going to support a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris candidacy that only continues to, and this is the perception, concern itself with the needs and the advancement of black women and black women alone.
All right, so that was that clip there. So Ebony K. Williams is saying that we don't always see eye to eye. I would, we can have a debate or discussion about why that's happened. I've talked about this on my ad nauseum. But that is an acknowledgement by her on a show. I don't think she's the host of that show, The Griot, anymore. I don't even think that show's around anymore, right? I think something happened to that network, right? I think it went under. And but that was her acknowledging at that time, and this is during President Trump's first run, I believe. I don't think it was this one. I can't remember if it was this one or the previous one. Whichever one, even now more so, there is this idea that we're just less politically inclined to be together, right? So that was the first instance, first video. So that's laying the groundwork, her admitting that. Now I'm going to play something I played before, Miss Nina Turner, who is the former state senator from Ohio, who you may have seen this in something else that I played before. This is going to be her talking about the Democratic Party and how they emasculate and don't cater to a whole demographic of Black men. So this is going to be her. We'll watch a few minutes of this and that.
What's your read on why so many Black men, Hispanic voters have found in Trump something to admire, something even to vote for?
Madam Editor, I'm glad you asked me that question. For me, the Democratic Party emasculates Black men. Wow. And I think Hispanic men probably feel the same way. And I say this because they weaponize identity. When and where we enter, who we are, how we identify is important to who we are, just like our fingerprints. But if you're not going to use my identity to advance a social justice cause, and you're just going to use my identity as a blunt force object, now I got a problem. So what the Democratic Party does, they put Black women on a pedestal and they say, we're the mothers of the movement, or we saved the party. But yet you don't put forth policies that save Black babies. You don't put forth policies that deal with the maternal death rate of Black women and Black babies in the United States of America. You don't do those things that lift and edify. Yes, identity is important. Both parties use it differently. Republicans use it to say that everybody Black or brown or of a mixed race is somehow kind of way a DEI hire. They use it to say certain books will be banned. Don't tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about how this country was formulated, because you might hurt a white child's feelings by saying that, yeah, chattel slavery existed. And oh, by the way, white powerful folks stole the land from the indigenous people. So all of those things, Chinese Exclusion Act, I mean, we can go down the list, but Democrats use it in a way that alienates other folks, and it offends me. So when I talk to Black men across this country, they don't see themselves in this party. It's one thing to recognize the power and prowess of Black women and the sacrifices that we make. It is another thing to put us above Black men. The Black struggle, Black men and Black women have to be together. We don't have the luxury to be separated. And so I resent the Democratic Party for doing that. And so Black men do not see themselves in the party. That bravado, because we got a kind of masculine energy, and masculine energy is not all bad, but the type of bravado that Trump puts forward is still very much rooted in a hierarchical patriarchy. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men gravitate to that.
So that's Nina Turner. Maybe that will answer some of your questions there in New York. Whose fault is that and all this kind of stuff? Listen, we're not, we just want the same opportunities, and those opportunities many feel are not there. In particular, post the 1970s, 60s, right after the destruction of the Black Panthers and other similar movements, right? A lot of what happened, right? We immediately get the war on drugs, which was targeted towards African-American males and Hispanic males. Meanwhile, single mothers got college educations. So all this is documented. I don't want to have to run through all this. So I'm not saying we should be pointing the fingers, but I'm saying that same thing as Nina Turner is saying is that we should, recognize what's going on in a political sense. And if you're catering to a certain demographic, then that is separating and keeping separate another demographic. So the question is often asked within the comment section, all over social media and all over modern times, what happened to men? What happened to Black men? Where are they at? How come they're not doing this? How come they're not doing that? Well, there's been reasons for it. When certain people get, quote unquote, the butter biscuits, and when other people don't get them, then that becomes problematic. And it's becoming even more problematic even now concerning the current administration as who's getting the butter biscuits, the benefits. And a lot of them are now saying and now realizing that a lot of this money in causing inflation is going overseas, particularly for these different conflicts that we have going on, as well as those who are immigrating here, and they're getting food stamps and getting housing and all this type of stuff. So these promises and these benefits that are supposed to be going around, right? When they take education out of schools, and when they take the manufacturing skills and degree and diplomas and certifications out of the schools, carpentry out, and they bring in carpenters from other places, from South American countries to this place, taking up quote unquote our jobs, then that becomes problematic. So this is where the divide comes in at. Thank you so much, Glorious. Hey, Lorelei. So Democrats are not asking African-American men to vote or to stand up. They are. But you haven't given them anything to stand up for. What are they standing up for? To watch a certain, as Nina Turner just said, to watch them, a group of the women to be accelerated above them? What man is going to stand up for that? This is causing the divide. This is causing the divide. So I want to continue to get through this. It's causing the divide. So stand up for what? For more people, more illegal aliens to come to the country. All right. Let's see. Okay, here's two examples. One is let's see. This is Tiffany Cross. Tiffany Cross was on MSNBC, and she is going to say some of the same things you guys need. Now, Nina Turner was not an example of mommying. This is Nina Turner exposing what was going on. So now Tiffany Cross is going to give an example of mommying, and this is from a few years ago when she was on MSNBC. She's no longer there. She has her own podcast with called Native Land, I think it is, with Angela Rye and Andrew Gillum, who was the former mayor of Tampa, not of Tampa, whatever the capital of Florida is, and he ran for governor. So this is going to be Tiffany Cross, and then it's going to go into Stephen A. Smith, who is a sports commentator, but he also comments on politics and some social stuff, and he is going to be mommied on his own show. And I played this on. This was another one that I played on my other podcast channel. He get mommied, and this woman, this attorney, is going to mommy him on his own show, and it's quite disgusting to watch. So here we go.
Legitimate point here. I will say, a lot of Black men sometimes feel like they're ignored or they're put down, particularly sometimes even by Black women in the media. So this is not that. But I do hear Roland's point that felt ignored.
So it's not that. And then she's going to proceed to do exactly that.
But you feel ignored, and then you go over to the other side. The oppressed feel oppressed, so then you go and try to align with the oppressor. So I'm not putting Black men down, but sometimes it's like, well, some of you Kevin Samuels following Tariq Nasheed quoting people, please look at the truth and see what's happening and get in line with some of the Black women. Is majority, like he said, vote Democrat. But that margin of people who can be plucked away from your people and go advance policies that harm your people, I just don't understand that.
I got to play that again. Listen to the language. I'm not putting you down. This ain't that. But you, Tariq Nasheed, Kevin Samuels quoting people, get in line. That is mommying type of language. That is mommying type of language. I'm telling you what to do. Give them something to vote for. Give them something to stand up for. I got to play that again. I got to play it again.
Here, I will say, a lot of Black men sometimes feel like they're ignored or they're put down, particularly sometimes even by Black women in the media. So this is not that. But I do hear Roland's point that felt ignored. But you feel ignored, and then you go over to the other side. The oppressed feel oppressed, so then you go and try to align with the oppressor. So I'm not putting Black men down, but sometimes it's like, well, some of you Kevin Samuels following Tariq Nasheed quoting people, please look at the truth and see what's happening and get in line with some of the Black women. Is majority, like he said, vote Democrat. But that margin of people who can be plucked away from your people and go advance policies that harm your people, I just don't understand that.
Opportunity to check me on my own show, because one of the things you got.
All right, so so this is going to be Stephen A. I'm going to freeze it because I don't want to get any copyright strikes. But here we go with Tariq Nasheed. I'm sorry, with Stephen A. Smith being schooled, mommied on his own show.
Opportunity to check me on my own show, because one of the things you got on me about was that, you know what, how I've been so disgusted with the Democratic Party because we're relying on a soon-to-be 82-year-old for 4 more years. And I respect your opinion so much. I respect your thoughts so much. It's not the first time I've interviewed you. I'm certainly hoping it won't be the last. But I want to give you an opportunity to get at me because of that, before I let you get on out of it, because I know you do. Go ahead, the floor is yours, Aretha.
Okay, what I want to say to you is you have such an incredible platform and following, and people respect you and they look up to you. And we need your voice pulling in the direction of saving this democracy. So please save your complaints and all of your gripes about the Democratic Party until after we win this election. It is not a perfect party by any stretch of the imagination. I have my own complaints, some personal issues I have with the party.
And we're going to talk about this at a later date. Yes, we are.
I am mature enough as a voter to recognize that everything we believe in this country is on the line in this election. And we have too many folks with powerful positions and platforms pulling against us. So those of us who are going to vote for Joe Biden, and you told me you were one of them,
I am.
Then you need to check yourself so that you are not sending conflicting and contradictory messages, because somebody will tell me, well, Stephen A. Smith said he's disgusted with the Democratic Party, so I'm not voting at all. So not voting at all is a vote for Donald Trump.
I would never encourage people not to vote.
No.
More mommying language, and more mom. Get in line, do what we're telling you to do. Not only Stephen A. tell him what to do, but have him use his platform to tell other people what to do, other men what to do. How about you give us something to vote for? How about you give us something to be proud of? How about that? Everybody else gets programs. And no, New York chocolate. This is not, let me move it. This is not, all these programs are not open to all. This is the point. This is the point. President Barack Obama had once started My Brother's Keepers. It's supposed to be for all men. Couldn't make it just for black men. My Brother's Keeper for men. You know who stood up against that? You know who wrote letters and stood up in Congress and said you can't do that? It was ladies who did that. You talk about we don't have enough boys, we don't have this, that, and the other, and nobody to marry, all this stuff that everybody's talking about. Well, when somebody tries to do something because men are falling behind, I want to try to do it this week. I may actually do it live, maybe Wednesday. I'll try to do it live. There's a video that I really think everybody should watch, because this woman breaks down what is going on with the men. The schools are the schools, K through 12, the college education is all female dominated. This is not me saying that. I play these women because hopefully the ladies will listen to other ladies. And this is what's going on with this type of stuff. When you stop centering boys, stop centering masculinity, and nobody said we should decenter girls, but now it's gone too far. Now it's gone too far, and there's a lot of acknowledgement about that. So we are asking immigrants are coming here because there's not enough workers, because there's not enough people who want to do quote unquote lower tier jobs. That's why they're coming here. That's why they're never going to stop the border crisis. Do you want to go out there and pick lettuce and tomatoes? Do you want to go out there and do those types of jobs? A lot of Americans don't want to do them. So we just got to be honest about that. They don't want to do those types of jobs, and they need a tax base, and they need these types of workers, right? And not only that, but in Chicago there was a lady who was complaining about all the red tape that she had to go through, and all this saving up money to do this, that, and the other, to open up her own food truck. Migrants get there to Chicago, they waived all that. Oh, you here and gave her a free pass almost to gave the migrants a free pass to open up a food truck, putting them in hotels, giving them all this stuff. I play on my other channel. I played, actually, I might have been on Instagram, where Joy Reid from MSNBC was talking about, was trying to get people on board with, oh, we got to help these migrants out and give them millions of dollars. And the complete comment section was blasting her about that. No. So all this stuff is not that way. So this is why I'm playing this, so you can try to think differently about what's going on between men and women and why certain men of all races are falling behind. I'm definitely going to do that, because it's not just American men or American black men. Lord have mercy. Greetings, Hamas. Yes, they pit our women against us, give them power, and use against us. Every 4 years this happened. Joe Biden said, "If you don't for him, you ain't black." Good topic. Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of men are giving up on women and themselves because yes, we've talked about this. You're absolutely right, my girl. A lot of times, let me stop this banner here. Men are giving up en masse because they don't see any benefit. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's no benefit to it, right? So this is what we're trying to get people to see. When a black man makes a choice, why can't that just be respected? It's sad that we are ignoring family values. Family values are at stake, not just race. But this is the point that I'm saying, and I appreciate that. It's because we have been pitted together. Remember the first video I played where Ebony K. Williams said we don't have the same political alignment. That is a huge statement. When you don't have the same political alignment. And listen, Ebony K. Williams said that about black men and black women. Gen Z is now saying the same thing, where the black, not just but the young Gen Z males are now becoming more conservative, and the young Gen Z females are now becoming liberal. So this divide, we always say when America gets a cold, Black America gets the flu. Right, so this phenomena that we see going on between black men and black women is now spreading to everyone else, and now it's a problem. Now people are writing books, now all this kind of stuff. But this has been going on with us since the 70s and 80s. But nobody sees it, and it's always been, "Oh, you can do it. Why can't you? We did it. How come I can't do it? We did it. How come you can't do it? You were given benefits. You were given college. Well, we were given police harassment and other type of things." All right, let's see. That's video number 3. All right, so now we get to Barack Obama. So we had Tiffany Cross mommying us. We had Ebony K. Williams telling what's going on. So now we're going to get to ABC. Now we're going to get to, yeah, you're right. Now we're going to get to ABC. Let's see. Is this it? Oh, okay. We'll take this one down. Stop screen share. Present. Share screen. And this is Obama. After all that mommying that we saw years ago, here's the former president. This one's a long one. It's 5 minutes. We're going to play the whole thing. 5 minutes of former President Barack Obama mommying black men.
Ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind. Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly. And
you're going to speak to us if we don't mind. He's trying to be nice.
Say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities.
What concrete proposals are those that Ms. Harris is putting forward? I don't know what he's talking about there. I don't. It took like 40 days for her to put anything up on her website. So I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just seeing what's going on.
From housing to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act. So everybody.
The Affordable Care Act isn't going anywhere. We all know that. Even Trump didn't do anything about that. And yes, I agree with you, Linda. I don't think he believed what he was saying either. My opinion, post-election women of color have less respect for black. I think that too. I think this is a complete lack of respect. And some of it, listen, have black men had to do better? Yes. I'm not saying that, but other people. There's a book. I don't know if I have it here. When affirmative action was white. I've often pulled it up. You got to read that book, and just other things that have happened where other people got some type of help. Even days before his assassination, Martin Luther King was saying that, right? We coming to get our check. Everybody else got Homestead Acts, all this kind of stuff. We got lynched. It's crazy. Crazy.
Everybody's got help and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out? I'm not. But, because of Pookie might be. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that.
Okay, so I want to pause there. I want to try to, I'm going to play the rest of this, but I got to stop it right there. He said that the reason that men in particular, and I'm assuming he's talking to most of the black men, but men in particular, the reason that we aren't showing the same amount of energy is because we don't want to see a woman as president. Can I do this? No. Okay. Let me see. I'll come back to that. And I want to show this. I should have took a screenshot, but I didn't. So, this from Pew Research, an examination of the 2016 electorate based on validated voters. Go down to this chart here, right? Among the validated voters in 2016, wide gap among whites by education. Clinton in blue, Trump in red. Men 41, Trump 52. Age and all this kind of stuff. Black 91 voted for Clinton. Black men 81. So that argument don't fly either. Black men don't have a problem. Don't seem to have a problem with that. I think they have a problem with exactly what my girl just said. They've been sitting in the seat for 3.5, 4 years and nothing to show for it. That is the issue. So the reason that there isn't this energy is because you haven't given us anything. That's the reason for it. So that's from Pew. So when somebody else said that he didn't believe this, he's a smart guy. He's got to know this. He's got to know these numbers. Got to know them. Black men, 81. And I don't think it's much different now. I think it's like 78 right now. Still, they're kind of still stumping for this woman. And others are saying, no, I'm just not going to vote. All right. We'll get back to this. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Stop screen share, present. We'll finish up with former President Obama here.
And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time.
Same type of language that came from Tiffany Cross. Get in line with your women. Same language.
They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. That's not, this shouldn't even be a question.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon.
Same language. It should be obvious. Women have done this, women have done that. Get in line. Same type of stuff. Meanwhile, we haven't given us any. Listen, and here's somebody else who's admitting this. The men I've spoken to just don't like Kamala. Listen, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I think you ought to do your own research and homework. But here's Linda again. Say they never give us anything because they don't feel like they have to. Even with the numbers that we know about what's going on with the migrant crisis, we look at, and for me, a big deal is, this geopolitical situation we got going on in the Middle East and Ukraine and potentially with China and all that. If you can look at this and say, I want 4 more years of this, you do what you got to do the analysis. And they never felt that they had to, because you're going to keep voting for them. Now we give all these 15 million migrants. That's the last number I've heard. 15 million migrants doing whatever. We're going to keep giving them stuff, and then you just keep voting them in. Great. It's mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing. So I got one more video to play. This one is from Pink Book Lessons, who's doing fantastic work. Pink Book Lessons is doing fantastic work. She must have been a reporter or something, because the stuff that she gets, in my estimation, is phenomenal. So she cut up a CNN interview. We're gonna watch that, and we're gonna see Nina Turner again, educating us and stumping for black men. Of course, Obama knows the number, but Trump is so disliked at the expense of degrading the black man. He's demanding it. Yeah, and we're going to give it to him, We're going to give them the Democratic vote overwhelmingly, and they're still going to feel like they don't have to do anything for us. That's insane to me. That's insane. Black men reading scores, male boy reading scores, not going all ethnicities of boys and men are not going to college. Then you look around and say, well, how come I don't have anybody? Nobody wants to marry me. There's no qualified men for us to marry. No qualified men in my family. It's a problem. It's becoming a global problem. There's at least 2 videos I want to review talking about this, and these are ladies who are saying this is going to cause an economic collapse when boys are just staying home, just shooting them up with Ritalin and just playing video games all day and not motivated to do anything. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. Absolutely, Chris. And listen, I mean, we definitely need a viable third candidate option. Definitely. Trump puts America first. That is a fact. Then the men need to speak up then. Well, isn't that what I'm doing? I quoted Dennis Sperling. It's different people in the manosphere. We are. And they are. And part of that is we're not voting for them. That's speaking up. I'm not voting for them. I'm going to sit home or I'm going to vote for Trump. That is speaking up. We want something different. We want something different. This is another way. Checking out. Just listen. I'm just not going to participate. This is the whole lying flat thing. Not working. Sitting home. Refusing to go to college. Right? For what? For what? To rack up $150,000 worth of student debt and still not get a job when I get out? That's a form of them speaking up. The Dems did everything and to block RFK. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And other candidates. I didn't do a review of. Did I do a review of it? If you haven't watched Jill Stein, I don't want to make this all political. If you haven't watched Jill Stein on The Breakfast Club, watch that interview and then read the comments. Jill Stein on The Breakfast Club, Jill Stein Breakfast Club, if you're not familiar with that, and then read the comments. And this was another case of Angela Rye, who I mentioned before. She's part with Tiffany Cross on That Native Land. She went onto The Breakfast Club and she was asking a bunch of questions of Jill Stein, who was also running for president. If anybody didn't know that, Green Party, you can look her up, Google all that. And when you read the comments were completely blasted. People were saying in the comments, I didn't know I had a third option. Now I know I have one. It actually backfired as far as politically. At least 20,000 comments saying, I'm going to vote for Jill Stein. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, I didn't know who this lady was. I'm glad you guys did this interview. Now I'm going to vote for her because I didn't like either 2 candidates. Read through the comments. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right, so this is Pink Book Lessons. Stop screen share. And we're going to watch the CNN interview. And then I will open it up if anybody wants to come on.
He's saying that black men, they're putting Kamala down. So holding this woman accountable for her record against black men, that's putting her down? Asking this woman for tangible benefits, specifically for black people, that's putting her down? Yeah, this is what Obama said talking to black men.
CNN political commentator Errol Lewis is in our 5th seat for this conversation. Errol, I guess he knew the cameras were there. It was an unscheduled stop, but that message was so pointed. In addition to him making it very clear, Kamala Harris is not doing what she needs to do with this core Democratic constituency.
That's right. Although he is asking her, let's be clear, to go over a very high hurdle. Barack Obama got historic levels of black voter registration and turnout and support, and he did it twice. It was almost inevitable that it was going to swing more toward the long-term average of a handful of black
Can
voters.
I interrupt you for just a moment,
Republican
just to show you something here? Because we went back, looked at 2020 exit polls. Biden got 92% of the black vote. Right now, according to Quinnipiac, this is in Pennsylvania, according to Quinnipiac, Harris is at 78. It's a big gap in this state right now. And that can be closed because Biden is not Barack Obama.
Biden is not on, well, he was Barack Obama's running mate. Certainly some spillover there. But you cannot ask of every black candidate in the post-Obama era, you've got to come up with 92% of the black vote every time. That is just not a reasonable assumption. If the margins are as tight as they're likely to be in this race, that's going to cause you problems in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia and in Detroit and in Milwaukee and in Atlanta and in all of the swing states. And so they're going to have to come up with a strategy. Now, Barack Obama is trying one strategy, trying to sort of connect with some of the black male voters who they think have been drifting away and are likely to drift away in these last 26 days. I'm not sure that's the right message. I mean, they have to try something.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, this is not a nice message. This is a very stern message.
Let me ask you a question, Abby and Nina. Let me say, I find it very interesting that we're trying to reach out to white men. We're trying to reach out to black men. The people whose rights are really on the ballot right now are women. And we're begging all these men to pay attention to us and to care enough about this election, to vote, to come out, to support us. I feel like Barack going on the campaign trail right now makes perfect sense. Of course, right? He's a top surrogate for Democrats. He should be out there doing the work right now. I think it's so amazing to me that with women's rights on the line, we're spending so much time focusing on making sure men care.
Oh, that just annoyed me. That just really just annoyed me. The only is this whole entire election just about women's rights? I mean, this is one of the big problems I have with the two-party system in particular, is that it's everything just comes down to a couple of different, nuances. But that was a completely ridiculous statement. There's more on the line than just women's rights, right? There's wars on the line. There's migrants. There's the economy. There's energy independence. There's all these other things we got to think about. And men and women should be able to chime in on that. But Pink Book Lessons is going to chime in on that as well. So, and I put the link in the chat if anybody wants to come up.
And listen to this dumb feminist. See, black women, this is what got the women before us in trouble in the first place. Listening to rebellious liberal white women like her talk about women's rights being on the ballot and then allowing that issue to trump everything else. Attempting to make that issue bigger than the economy, bigger than inflation, bigger than all these wars going on, driving us into a potential World War III, bigger than rebuilding the black family. Women like this one right here, they're sabotaging us, trying to make termination rights more important than all of that. And to this dumb powdered donut, the reason that they have President Obama going out to black men is because they have an issue with black men. The reason why they have Tim Walz trying to reach out to white men is because they have an issue with white men. They have an issue with men, period. White, black, Hispanic, Arab, the ones that are not leaning LGBT, they're not falling for this. And you're not going to win an election with only women, Nimrod. It's not just female voters out there. You have male voters too.
Because men, I don't know, it's because men are the problem right now for Kamala Harris.
I mean, women.
And by the way, Governor Walz, according to Politico, is going to be going out on a men tour, literally a tour of media to appeal to men.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men for
other identity groups. My message for Democrats is don't bring it here to Black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from Black women. And why? As a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris-Walz campaign to lay at the feet of Black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right that one of the reasons is because they don't like the idea of
it might be some listen, Black men are socialized in the same society as any other man. So yes, is misogyny maybe a part of it? But again, is President Obama and is the Harris-Walz campaign going to lecture other male groups in the same way that they're lecturing?
This is not just about.
And see, before she got cut off, Nina Turner was saying something about Kamala being positioned as a top cop before in the last election.
To lay at the feet of Black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think...
And going down that direction was going to force them to talk about Kamala's history of her prosecutorial targeting of Black men in California. Instead, they went into these feminist talking points about misogyny and all this other stuff. No, Black men want policies that will positively benefit them economically, that's going to help them financially. Not illegal immigrants that's going to bring down their wages or gender-changing surgeries. No, that's not important for men in general. Black men are also not interested in provoking wars. Why? Because at the end of the day, these feminists won't be on the front line to fight. See, those are the conversations they don't want to have. That's why instead they blame misogyny.
I don't think so. It's not just about Pennsylvania. It's not just about men. It sounds like there's a concern that there's a broad problem for Vice President Harris with the blue wall. It's basically, according to the poll of polls.
All right, you guys can go over there and finish that up. I don't want to make this complete. I know I'm trying to walk this fine line about politics and all that. But again, New York, and I thank you for commenting. It's not just about women's rights, but if you just sit back, then what are we supposed to do? Men need to speak up and ask for equality. But here's the exact principle and point. When they were saying it, the woman on the stage was saying, "Why are you paying attention to that? Why are we going after that? What about women's rights?" Men are speaking up, and they get shut down and shut out, and it becomes a taboo for them to do so. This was a prime example of it happening right there live on CNN, where they tried to bring some attention to it. They had a Black man, Errol Lewis, I think his name was speaking up on it, and the woman gets up there and says, "Well, what about women's rights?" As long as you have that mindset, this is what's going to cause it. This is where we continue to diverge in our philosophies. We're trying to save Black men. We're trying to save men, trying to save them. And we're telling you we want policy, just like Pink Book Lessons. Here's another woman saying, listen, they want policies. They want something tangible, not promises, not migrants, not wars. We want something else. And what's the answer? What's the response to that? Well, why are we paying attention to them? It's all about female reproductive rights. Come on, you got to be able to see that. You got to be able to see that. They're asking for more. My girl says, before now, they never cared about Black men. They only want Black men's vote. Absolutely. Absolutely. We got lynchings. We got mass incarceration. we got all this crazy stuff, right? What did we do during Jim Crow in the 60s and 70s and kept asking until we got it? Okay, that is a vast oversimplification of what occurred in the 60s and 70s. But we are going to ask for it, and we're going to ask for it, and this is part of asking for it. You're not going to listen to us. We're not going to put this particular woman in this particular Democratic Party into the presidency. That is asking for it. That is asking for it. This is saddening, especially at the 11th hour. I'm not seeing pubs give vibrato to Black men either. I think you mean vibrato. I think that's what you mean. I'm not seeing. I'm not going to pretend to be the most politically astute person, but I do think that Trump tried to do some things. There were some opportunity zones that he tried to do. I think he tried to reinvigorate some HBCUs. Listen, we all need more, and unfortunately, it's sometimes it comes down to the lesser of two evils. But we know systemically or historically, I should say, that the Democratic Party has not done anything. So again, this is supposed to be about mommying and the way they're talking to us, and the way that Nina Turner again said, "Why are you talking to these men like this? Why are you talking to anybody else like that?" Right? And I can remember before there was in other elections previously. I think we're all in here old enough to remember. Right before, when they were talking to the white males, right? They were calling them NASCAR dads. You guys remember that, NASCAR dads? And then before that, it was like Joe the plumber, right? The Joe the plumber types. Right, so that's the way that they kind of talk to them, right? Let's try to get them, right? These average type of guys who just crack open a beer and watch NASCAR. We got to get those guys, right? So they've always talked to the men in a certain way, but this type of mommying, this type of lecturing, this type of get yourself together and get on board, they don't talk to other men like that. And Nina Turner, you heard it, said the same thing. Like, why are you talking to men like that? All right, I did say that was going to be the last video, but I remember there's another video about J.D. Vance. And he was asked about this whole thing. I'll play this one. And if anybody wants to come up, yes, he did those things. If anybody wants to come up, then you can hit it. You can hit the link and we can have a further conversation. But this is J.D. Vance responding to, and I didn't watch this, so I don't know what he's going to say. Just as J.D. Vance responding to what President Obama said to black men.
Senator Vance, in Pittsburgh on Thursday, former President Barack Obama admonished black men for being hesitant about voting for Kamala Harris. I was wondering if you could contrast your approach to hesitant voters and how you tried to earn them over.
First of all, I don't believe, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, whether you agree with Donald Trump or disagree with him, I don't believe in hectoring voters. I believe in persuading voters. Your support is not something I'm given or something I'm owed. It's something you got to go out there and work for. So one, I just don't like the tone of going in. I mean, look, the better question for Barack Obama or anybody to ask is not why black men. It's not how dare you not vote for Kamala Harris. It's maybe they're thinking about voting for Donald Trump because they're sick of being censored, they're sick of being told what to do, and they're sick of not being able to afford the American dream. Maybe that's why we're getting a lot more black voters than Republicans in the past. But the last point I want to make is, I got to say, and shocker, newsflash here, I've defended Kamala Harris once. I'm about to defend Barack Obama once. So set to the side the hectoring and the tone of Obama when he went in and talking about black voters, like whatever. Obviously, I just criticized that. When I was watching him talk, what I thought to myself is, agree or disagree, and obviously I disagreed with about 99% of what he did when he was in office. He had substance and Kamala Harris does not. Like he actually had thoughts in his head, and what a contrast that is to Kamala Harris, who just repeats slogan after slogan after slogan. I got to be honest with you, I am offended, not as a person running to be your vice president, but as a fellow citizen. I am offended that a person who is so substanceless as Kamala Harris dares to think that she could be the president of the United States. It is a disgrace. I mean, what does she want to do about Israel and the Middle East? She'll give you a slogan. How does she want to lower the price of groceries? She'll give you a platitude. How is she going to make the lives of her fellow citizens better? She turns around and runs from the camera. A person like that has no business being near the Oval Office of this country. We cannot let it happen. And I'd ask you, I mean, to all of you out here, this is one of the things that's at stake. I mean, look, I imagine, at least I hope, that you guys aren't thinking about voting for Democrats in the future. But look, we cannot reward this kind of politics where they switched Joe Biden from the ballot 2 months ago without a single vote being cast. She runs from the basement. She does a few softball interviews, and we think that person is tested enough to be president of the United States. It is insulting to American voters, and we have to reject it on November the 5th by voting for Donald J. Trump.
All right. Don't say I wasn't fair to these people. All right, so that's it. So listen, you do the homework. You vote for who you want. I want to focus on the mommying. And somebody else said, let's see, what did somebody else say? Yeah, white men are asked and not told, and that's the problem I have, right? And everybody else, JD Vance could see it. Nina Turner could see it, right? This tone about how you talk to us, right? And then when we try to speak up, we get what the woman on the CNN panel said. Oh, why are we talking about this or whatever? Give us something to vote for. And listen, shame on all of us for continuing. Shame on all of us for continuing to vote for people who have never followed through with their promises. Who, when things started to go one way, then they pulled the bait and switch, didn't follow through, and we voted those people into office again, and we gave them another chance. Listen, to me, and this is not a stunt for Trump, but to me, if you can look at the price of food and everything that's going on and say you want 4 more years of this, I think you deserve, and you vote for that, I think you deserve everything you get. I think you deserve everything you get. But that's my political thoughts. It's open. If anybody wants to come up, you can feel free to agree, disagree, whatever. Vote with common sense. I'm in Trump day one. So that's all I got. I wanted to talk about actually, maybe I will go over this. I wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about. Y'all hit the like button. I only saw like just 40 people watching, and we only have a few likes here. I wanted to talk about what was the numbers? I put up something in the community tab. I want to talk about that. Paying for dates and stuff like that, the 50-50 conversation. But this President Obama thing just pissed me off. It just pissed me off. And it pissed off a lot of people. Yeah, nobody can tell you who to vote for. Absolutely. November coming soon. Do your homework. Do your homework and do what's best for you. So all right, so I will add this to the stage here so we can look at the numbers. We'll go over the dustiness, and maybe I'll do this another time here. So give us something positive to end off on. So this is from the 50-50 conversation. As you can see, men. So the options were, if you haven't voted on this, I should have told you all to do this before, but you can still vote if you like. 167 votes, 8,000 followers, only 167 people voted. So the options are: times have changed. This is about who should pay for dates in the 50-50 conversation. Times have changed. We're the same. I don't mind going 50-50. 19% did that. I'm a man. Men should pay. Always pay. 9%. I'm a lady. Men should always pay for dates. Option 3, 64%. But look at this, right? This is exactly. But you have to make them. I continue to say this. You have to make the men. You have to make them. You have to make them. I know. Just as I say that, with the woman, you said, "Thanks for taking this topic." You have to make the men. You have to make them. And there's been 40 years of not making men. The man factory has been closed. Man factory has been closed. How about 60-40 or some other option? 8%. So that's what that is. So listen, I continue to say, and I continue to appeal to ladies because they are a vast majority of my followers, that when you look around and you don't see the men, You got to be part of this of the process of making them. Should men be the primary makers of other men? Absolutely. I'll scream it from the rooftops. Men need to make other men. We need men in the homes, men to be fathers, men to be mentors, men to be coaches. Yes, absolutely. But you have to be part of it. And when they start different things, as in when President Barack Obama started the My Brother's Keepers thing to help men to help young boys get their education together, it can't be women saying, "What about girls?" You have to. I continue to say, I grew up in a boys' club. That boys' club in the city that I live in, there was a boys' club and there was a girls' club. And there was a YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association, and the YWCA, the Young Women's Christian Association. All the women wanted to go to the YMCA. All the girls wanted to go to the boys' club. And now it's a boys and girls club. You can't do it that way. Men have to be around men. Every woman is different. I've distracted myself a long time, female friends, because of this. I've distanced myself from longtime female friends because of it. We're going in two different directions. Men and women, unfortunately, are going in two different directions. I know what I want. Men stay silent to keep over a roof over their heads. Yes. Men stay silent to keep it. That's absolutely true. Maybe I'll play this video here. Because this is a woman. I know you guys want to talk about men and women stuff here, so I'll play this video to make y'all happy. Let me stop screen share. Here's a video about a woman. I'm saying this about my girl Les's comment here. Men stay silent to keep a roof over their heads. Before I booted this up, I was watching a video about DBDS. I talked about them. And they were talking about divorce statistics and this, that, and the other. Talking about men keeping silent and stuff. And a lot of men, 3 in 10, according to the statistics they were saying, I haven't looked up these numbers in a while. 3 in 10 men who go through divorce end up deleting themselves. They get raked over the coals in divorce court. And why? Well, here we're gonna take a look at why.
And we still had the normal ups and downs, but I will say we didn't have a relationship where we argued.
What is this? What is that?
Normal ups and downs, but I will say we didn't have a
I apologize. I don't know. Just listen to the audio. It's I don't know why it's playing like this, but just listen to the audio. I apologize. This is on Facebook. I didn't record this.
relationship where we argued all the time. Yeah. We didn't have a relationship where we were dealing with infidelity or stuff like that, during those times. We didn't have that type of relationship. So, because we were friends first, so it was always like, that's my homie. It was just something in me as a woman. I cannot explain it to where it was like I was battling myself. You feel like I'm trying to do the right thing, but it's something that's pulling me away from doing this. But why would it pull me away from my husband? I'm battling in the midst of that with religion, like what the people telling me at church and what I'm getting spiritual advice from. And then I'm battling with it with myself. Like, why am I feeling this way? I'm talking about I'm going to therapy for myself to figure out why am I feeling this way towards my husband. And the way I was feeling, it wasn't like I felt resentment towards him. It was almost like I was withholding a piece of me that I couldn't give him. I'm sitting on the couch and we had a small issue, and that small issue was back that pattern. Now, you done went to therapy for this. We done had talks for this. I done talked to you. What did you get from this after I said? To make sure you understand, because I love to communicate. And I'm sitting on the couch, y'all, and I kid you not, God told me, that is not your husband.
Puffy just lied, just the man. When she was getting banged, she liked to.
So I apologize for that blurred out stuff. It chopped in for a little bit. So what she said at the end was they had an argument. They sat down on the couch. They're having it out on the couch, and then whatever, they couldn't come to an agreement. And then she says, God told me that's not my husband. And you couldn't read it. I don't think you could read it, but it said that, or at least she said it, they were together for 15 years, married for 7. So 15 years out of her life she gave to somebody, is no longer happy. And like I said, I was listening to another podcast before I booted this up, and they were just talking about that, right? Women are leaving marriages because they're just unhappy, not because of divorce, not because of not because of infidelity or drug abuse or physical violence. The number one reason, and again, maybe I'll do a reaction to this because that was a very, very good video that I was watching. And they were saying that they listed 5 reasons that divorce attorneys for surveys that they were listing as the reason that women were filing for divorce, because we know that 70% of women file for divorces. The number one reason was just boredom, just tired of this dude. And there was 4 other reasons, financial stuff. I think like 4th or 5th was infidelity. It wasn't even like top 3. So this idea of men just beating their women and just cheating on them left and right, that's not the reason that they're leaving. It's mostly because they're just bored. And so it was really, really good. So you talk about men wanting to keep quiet because they want a roof over their head. That's exactly it. And or as Chocolate is saying, men need to be men then too. If they are feeling silence, then do something about it. Listen, this is, and I know you mean this from a good place. At least I believe you do. The reason that men have been silenced and pushed down is because financially they will become ruined. Think about what happens to a man who is accused, who's just accused of essaying a woman, assaulting a woman sexually, just accused of it. He could lose everything. He could lose everything over that. So this idea of trying to equalize things has gone too far. You're just accused of that, you can become ruined financially. In a divorce, you become ruined, right? I want to see my kids every day, all this kind of stuff, right? So this is why men have been silenced. But now there is a pushback against it because of social media, because we're seeing what's going on, because of men's rights activists, because of podcasts, because of the red pill space. Men are like, and even because of voting, it's like, listen, no more of this. No more of this. We're tired of this. Right? And women just wake up one day after 15, imagine 15 years together. You got a house, you see your kids every day, and this woman just says, just opens up, listen, you're not my husband. And she's saying God told her that. God told me you're not my husband. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And now I got to move out of my house. I got to sell the house. I got to go live in an apartment. I go from seeing my kids every day to becoming every other weekend dad. How fair is that? Because you're bored. Matter of fact, I will do a reaction to that because they were listing statistics. So this idea that men are just not men, they're weak and they don't want to step up, and no, it's because you get crushed in the court of public opinion, you get crushed in civil court, you get crushed in divorce court, you'll be arrested if nobody believes you. That's what's happened to men, crushed and pushed down. And it's not even, as I said, not even the violent stuff, right? Just bored. I just want a new life. I just go in a different direction. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Please expound about men in the roof over their head. Well, I think I just did. They feel as if, when they are going through a divorce or something like that, that they will have to pay for a new place to live, or go live with their mother, or go live with their father, or go live with their brother, or whatever, and they have to still pay alimony, child support, and all that. So that's part of it. And the other part is exactly what I said about you could be fired from your job. You can be fired. All this different type of harassment and stuff. That's keeping a roof over your head. A lot of men are already financially ruined for previous relationships. Absolutely. Thanks for the live. Absolutely. All right, so that's it. So hour and 18 minutes. I thank you all for coming on. I want to push back then if you feel a certain way, then act on it, but don't blame us for it. Black women are damned if we do. I think the blame is towards the system. And there was a lot of pushback there was a lot of pushback in the 70s and 80s when a lot of the stuff was being when these laws were being changed. And as I said, there's another podcast I was listening to when they were breaking this down and saying when all these different types of rights were coming along, they were saying this is what's going to happen to men if you do these types of things. You're going to feminize boys. They're not going to be motivated to go out. They're not going to be motivated to change. They're not going to be motivated to go to college. And the woman who wrote a book about it was saying all those things that the people were saying at the time have come to pass. So this idea of feeling a certain way, it's not about blaming you. You can ask us to vote, as we talked about. This is the mommying thing. You can ask us to vote without talking to us the way that you talk to us. That's number one. And number two, listen, to the point where men have been taking it, absolutely. There's a certain point that says, listen, we can't take it anymore. We're not going. You never should have been talking to us like that, and we're not going to continue to allow us to talk to you like that. As I mentioned, when they talked to the NASCAR dads, they didn't talk to them that way. When they talked to the Joe the Plumber types, they didn't talk to them that way. So there has to be a little bit of responsibility, or maybe a lot of responsibility for the men for receiving it. But there's a lot of it goes towards the government, between divorce practices that I think I've articulated a number of times, to what's going on with the feminization of schools, K through 12. And this is not Big Al just saying this because that's not my wheelhouse, but I'm reading all this different stuff, and I read what has happened to men because I teach criminal justice. So I'm like, man, why are arrest rates? Why are our rates all this way? So I'm figuring all this out, right? I'm studying all this type of stuff in line with this podcast. So when I look at this, it's not a woman's fault or a Black woman's fault, but there is a certain responsibility, because there has been an empowerment and a sense of entitlement that when we say certain things, or when we say certain things and do certain things, then you feel the need to mommy us, like Tiffany Cross did, or President Obama did, or the other individuals. So I hope that I've articulated that well. Men have no financial or legal leverage on paper. Maybe the source of the silence. Absolutely. No financial or legal leverage on paper. Absolutely. This is a problem. This is a problem. There's no way that I should be sitting home one day after 15 years of marriage, and my wife looks at me and says, I don't want to be married to you anymore, and now I got to pay you half of my alimony. I got to pay you half of my income, half of my 401k, move out of my house, and see my kids every day. And in fact, in the podcast that I was listening to, when they were talking about this, they were saying that now Texas, and I haven't verified this, but now Texas has eliminated no-fault divorce. And Tennessee is doing the same thing, eliminating it. And now some states are even mandating DNA at birth, no matter if you're married or not. Anytime a child is born, you got to do a DNA test, because it's between 30 and 40% of men are now discovering that they're raising children that aren't theirs. It's crazy. This is the silence. And before, think about this: if you were a man, and I can remember listening to stories like this. If you're a man, you had a child, the child is now 8 years old. This was a story I heard one time. I was driving to work. I couldn't believe, I almost drove off the road. Man was 8. The child was now 8 years old. The guy did a DNA test, figured out it wasn't his. They brought the child to court. They go to court, and it's like, the baby's not mine. And the judge says, well, you've been paying for 8 years, so you're going to keep on paying. That is keeping men silent. It's the system that has said you can't speak up. That was always unfair. So she's rewarded because it's about the child. What's the best interest of the child? But what's about the best interest of me? My saying is, I got to pay for a baby that this woman told me was mine and isn't mine. It was all done to keep Black men down. Baby boomers fell for it. They thought they cared about them. Yeah, listen, there was a lot. People talk about one of the big things that always comes up every 4 years is about reparations for slavery. Not that we don't deserve it. I don't think the push should be for reparations for slavery. I think the push for reparations should be about the psychological, emotional damage that the U.S. government did to African Americans, between the lynchings, between the blockbusting, the mass incarceration, the assassination of our leaders, the COINTELPRO, all this stuff, all this psychological damage that we see going on. We drive through any inner city, you see how the people are living and the psychological damage that's going on. I think we deserve reparations for that. That's what I think. Intentional division between black men and women continues. Absolutely. And that is part of that's part of a process in the system. And I think we deserve it for that. I think we deserve reparations for that. Speaking out has an emotional connotation, not very masculine. Yeah, not you're crying and complaining and stuff, right? You're crying, you're complaining, which just take it. Nobody else had to take it. Nobody else had to take it. What do you want us to do if you keep using us and leaving us? Listen, I just read off the stats. About 70% of ladies are filing for divorce. 80% of black women file for divorce. Come on. We got to do better with this. We got to actually look at the numbers and not anecdotal type of stuff, right? I taught my son what to do to protect his assets. For me, it shouldn't be. For me, I think it's time to completely rewrite those laws. Completely rewrite them. Completely rewrite those laws. They're unfair. Even I'm saying this, even if you're a woman and you're a breadwinner, it's crazy. It's crazy. No, these laws were written at the time when the man was the breadwinner, and exactly what somebody alluded to a little bit before was that the woman was at the mercy of the man, and you could just get up and just leave. And of course that was wrong. Nobody's co-signing that kind of stuff, but that's not what's going on today. That is not what's going on today. The younger generation are having to fight and undo what the past has done to our minority men. That is correct in Texas. No fault divorce. And that's not saying, from what I understand, it's not saying you can't leave. Listen, you can leave, but you don't get anything. And in fact, you should pay me. That would be my opinion. If you just wake up one day and say, listen, I don't want to be married to you anymore. We got a house, we got kids, we got this, I got a 401k and all this kind of stuff. And you're disrupting my lifestyle. As a man, you're disrupting my lifestyle. You can leave, but no, you should have to pay. I'm like, why should I have to pay you, and you want to leave and take my kids to somebody else? It's absolutely bananas. Passport time. If the laws change, legs might change too. If the laws change, legs might change too. Get rid of no fault divorce. Absolutely. I guess if laws are more stickier, it might open people's eyes. Yeah, because it doesn't seem to hurt other people. That's why it's always like, oh, you guys just need to do better. That's always the commentary. You guys just need to speak up and do something about it. The ladies were given the keys to the kingdom. Keys to the kingdom. Civil Rights Act was based on the Kerner Commission and the Patrick Moynihan report. And in both of those reports, it was basically the men need jobs. That was the bottom line of the Kerner Commission and the Patrick Moynihan report. If you haven't read either one of those, you need to go read them. That was the bottom line of those two reports was black men need jobs. Black men are being harassed. They don't have jobs. They're emasculated in their homes. That was it. And they need jobs. So what happened? We get the Civil Rights Movement, Civil Rights Act. Who's the greatest beneficiary of the Civil Rights Act? It's white women. It's white women. Then we get 68, right? Then we get Generation X, start 68, 69. We get mass incarceration. So we went from not having jobs to, okay, we're going to make everything equal. Oh, we're going to give white women these jobs, give them the greatest beneficiary, and we're gonna flood the inner cities with drugs, and we're gonna send black men to jail. That's what happened. Oh, and then we're gonna deindustrialize 1970s, right? We're gonna deindustrialize, and we're gonna send all these jobs, factory jobs, overseas. This is what happened. Men need to do it more and stuff. Everybody else got a hand up, got a leg up. Everybody else got a leg up. Everybody else got a leg up. It's high time to start looking out for their assets and futures. Honestly, some women need laws to understand. Maybe we're a little spoiled. Honestly, some women need laws to understand. Maybe we're a little spoiled. I don't think there's a maybe about it. And you don't even realize it. As I said, it's probably going to be coming out. I don't know if I said it yet, but nobody misses the water till the well runs dry. No, the fish in the water doesn't recognize that there's a problem here. What's going on here? I'm swimming around. How come you can't swim around? Right? Until the water becomes murky and polluted. Then you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's a problem. And that's exactly, I think, and I don't mean this to be, sometimes people come off with this very, very negative, very attacking and all this kind of stuff. But I'm not trying to attack. I'm just trying to say and put it very bluntly that you don't realize what's happened because you benefited from it. Because you benefited from it. So you don't realize that in order that the different standards that were set up to help, in particular, black men, right? So we're taken advantage of by other people. In the 1970s, we also got Title IX, which made college campuses a lot more fair and all that kind of stuff, right? Now imagine if, in accordance with Title IX, that made college campuses, not just about college sports, but college campuses and education more fair, which should have been done. No problem with that. But then imagine if men became the beneficiaries of that, of Title IX. Wait a minute. Everybody be like, wait a minute, this is for women. How come men are getting this? That's the same thing you ought to be saying about, but if the ladies haven't done it, haven't spoken up for that because they benefited. That's the issue. You've benefited from it. Benefited from divorce, from Title IX, from civil rights to a greater degree than who it was meant for, and that was black men. We need balance. Those white women had husbands, but told black women to put their husbands out for government assistance. Absolutely. It's important to start right, be equally yoked, share the same values, and keep Jesus in your marriage. We have the authority to flip the script for our children. I remember the first video I played was Ebony K. Williams saying we don't have the same mindset. I don't know, brother. You got a lot of faith, man. I don't know. I'm going to do a video about that. Can we be saved? So it's on my list to do. I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's not only it's bad between men and women. It's bad between black men and black women, and there's got to be something that's got to change, and it's got to be the laws that have got to change. It's got to be the laws that have to change. I think we do, Tree Hugger. Seems like black men need an incentive to love. I think we do, but we need you to be more empathetic, more sympathetic to the plight that we have gone through, and recognize that when you look around and see, you can't just, what bothers me is this flippant attitude about you guys just need to do better. Nobody else had to do better. I don't have the Martin Luther King speech about, everybody else, pull themselves up by the bootstraps. That just wasn't the case. Everybody else got policies, got loans, got homestead acts, military benefits, military benefits for like something like 98% after World War II. I think it was World War II or maybe one of the Korean Wars or something like that. When the soldiers came back, 98% of the loans and all that, so people could buy their homes and all that, went to white males. Black people were fighting this war too, Oh, what happened to black men? How come you guys just don't do it? You don't recognize what's happening, what you didn't get. Read the book. I know I have it here somewhere. Read the book When Affirmative Action Was White. I know. Where is that book at? Anyway, When Affirmative Action Was White. Got to read that book. If my grandfather was soft with me and not balanced, I would probably be a mess, but I'm okay. So we need balance and not be spoiled. Yeah, well, I definitely agree with that. Spoiled is really not good. Too much freedom. Yeah. There's a new push about the spoiling of current millennials and Generation X and Generation Z. Zennials, I can call them. Generation Z and there's a lot of papers being written about the spoiling of that bubble wrapped group of individuals. I can remember, listen, Generation X, I think we're all a little bit older here. Like Generation X, I can remember, we would go outside, 9 o'clock, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning, and wouldn't come back out until it was dark out. We'd be hungry, eating berries off the trees and stuff, right? We did all that. And I can remember, and we were we were 11, 12 years old. And I can remember one time, Max, my stepson, he was 12. There was a big snowstorm, right? In being here in the Northeast, right? They should have canceled school, but they didn't. So all the kids were stranded and stuck, right? The buses were stranded and stuck because they couldn't move in the snow. So my ex was calling me. And I'm still cool with my stepson. We play video games and all that together. And but he was 12 at the time. He's 12. 12. So I'm thinking like a Generation X. So my ex is calling me like, go get my son. I'm like, it's a snowstorm outside. People are slipping and sliding all over the place. Like, please, come on, go get him. So I'm like, oh my God. So I pack up my kids, right? Pack up the kids. We get in the car and we're gonna go try to go get them because they're stuck in the buses. She wanted me to go to the buses. Anybody here from the Northeast, you know exactly what storm I'm talking about. And we had to go get them. And so I'm just like slipping and sliding all over the place. So I get him off the bus. I'm like, why didn't you get off the bus and walk home? It's like, but they wouldn't let us off. I'm like, you guys, man, are such a baby generation. We would have pulled the emergency exit and we just jumped out the bus and ran home. 12. Now, some of you are like, oh, he's 12 is too young. I'm telling you, as a product, and this is why kids can't do anything. They can't read, they can't write, they have no initiative. And these kids are now in their 30s. Right, they're 28, 29, 30s. We bubble wrap the society. They can't do anything, can't handle conflict. I teach collegiate courses. I'm babying these kids about how to write a paper. We have group projects, team projects. I got to be in the email chains about who's doing what. Now, how come this, that, and going? They're emailing me. Such and such didn't call me back yet. What should I do about this? College kids. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. You bubble wrap the society. You don't know how to deal with pressure, don't know how to deal with conflict resolution. You don't know how to deal with anything. Kids in the 70s were thin. We played outside all day long and cried when we absolutely. Come on. I don't want to go in the house. Listen, we using the bathroom in the woods. It was crazy. Crazy. Back in the day, kids were different. They could survive. Listen, we used to, it's like we used to, there was a friend of mine, he had his little sister had one of them easy bake ovens. So we used to mix stuff up, eat it. We were probably eating raw stuff, easy bake. We thought it could cook it in, cook everything. We're eating that because we didn't want to go in the house. It was crazy. Eating berries off the trees, little apples and stuff, right? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just bubble wrap society. Ridiculous. You can't be babied all the time. All right. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. I hope that you guys got something out of it. And listen, I definitely agree that men need to step up, speak up, and all that more. But the way that you talk to us and the lack of respect, it's not going to be tolerated. It's not going to be tolerated. So this idea of speak up more and do something about it, that's us doing something about it. We're not going to vote you in. That's us doing something about it. We're going to leave. We're going to get our passports. We're going to not vote you in. We're going to sit down. We're going to vote for somebody else. That's us speaking up. And there's other people who are doing more things, trying to put things through Congress. People are writing, men and women are writing books about this because it's a problem. It's not really a problem when it's happening to us. We get the flu, right? It's not really a big problem. But when white males are starting to fall behind, you can't tolerate that. Can't tolerate that. So, all right, that's it. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button if you have not hit the like button. If you're watching this in the future, hit the like button. I really, really appreciate it. Let's see, if you're looking for any services and all that kind of stuff, make sure you hit me up. If you have any show topics or ideas, right? Anything you want me to talk about, hit me up. Hit the like button. And if you want to buy me some lunch, I would certainly appreciate it. And all that. So till next time, I think there's a video dropping tomorrow morning. Much love and peace. Great Cas, big out. See y'all in the next one. Yes. I'm going to try to do a live Wednesday. So we'll see. Much love and peace. Take care, everyone.